بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. For the past 3 days, we've been looking at career choices for our children. And one of the conclusions was it needs to be halal, ethical, and other considerations as well, like every profession may not necessarily be suitable for us as Muslims. And we also looked at yesterday in detail that parents should not have the same expectation from every sibling, because every sibling is different, unique, individual. And if we think about it, this is also a manifestation of the qudrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a manifestation, izhar, of the qudrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it's the same genes, literally, the same DNA, but a father has 4 children, all 4 are different. If you look at science is something where things have to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, science rejects it. That's the nature of science and scientists. That if it doesn't make sense, they don't accept it. And this is one of the things which science has failed to grapple with. That the same DNA, same this, same that. Despite that, the children, every sibling is different, unique. And science has failed to produce an answer for this. It's simply a manifestation of the qudrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, sometimes you have 2 siblings. One is, mashallah, extremely fair. The other one has a much darker complexion. And they are both the children of the same parents. They are both the children of the same parents. This is nothing but the manifestation of the qudrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said, it does not matter if science fails to grapple with it or appreciate this. We need to look at it from our imani perspective. You know, yesterday I mentioned that at the end, that every sibling, every child of yours may not become a doctor, accountant, engineer, whatever. You know, some sort of, white collar profession, or he won't become a professional. I think we need to appreciate one thing, that sometimes there could be someone in our family who we deem as maybe slightly da'if, weak. And sometimes, unfortunately, we actually feel they are a burden. Boj. We feel they are a burden, a liability. What we need to appreciate is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam pointed this very thing out to Sahaba kiram radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. He said to them once that إِنَّمَا تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ إِنَّمَا تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ. That, you know, you are being helped, assisted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are being given rizq, provision. Provision has been made easy for you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ. Because of the weak ones amongst you. You know, sometimes we don't appreciate that this abundance of wealth, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, given my family, etc. There could be somebody inside there. And it's because of that one person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, nusra, barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is descending upon us. So we should never ever think of that person, you know, the weak one, the one who's a bit slow, the one who we feel is a liability, a boj, a burden. We should never ever feel that this is a burden, a liability. Rather, we should look at this through this hadith. إِنَّمَا تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ. This is something that it might not even cross our mind sometimes. We don't even, our mind might not even go to this, but it's something we need to appreciate. And because of this, some ulama, they say that istihbabu ikhraj al-shuyukh was-sibyan fi salat al-istisqa. Salatul istisqa is when there is no rain for a long period, and the people of a locality, a city, town, village, they go out, into an open area, and they basically perform salah, make dua, cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for rain. I think we get our fair share of rain here in the UK. Even then we hear about droughts and this and that, and this is the UK. Now just put yourself into a country like Africa, where in some places it doesn't rain for literally months, and their livelihoods depend on their crops, basically. So for them, they actually appreciate what rain is and the value of rain, basically. So because Allah's help comes sometimes because of the weak amongst us, the du'afa. Some ulama, they say when you go out for salatul istisqa, take with you the elderly, shuyukh, the elderly, and also the children. Take them with you. Who knows that one of these, they might turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of them, accepts your dua and sends down rain. And just on the point of the elderly, the shuyukh, if we see around us, usually when a person hits a certain age, I don't know what that age is, I'll let you decide that. When they hit a certain age, what's the word? They become a little bit, is it senile? Is that how you say it? My English is not the best, okay? I got a C in my GCSE English, by the way. So, when they reach a certain age, what happens is, unfortunately, we kind of disregard them. We sideline them. They're not part of the equation. They're not part of the family. And all throughout that person's life, they have been a major figure. They are the ones who brought you up, basically. And suddenly, you sideline them, you disregard them. You might go to meet them maybe once a week, if that. So this is something that should be on our radar. Yeah, and I've seen this as well. After that person's passed away, it's a bit late now. Yeah, and some communities, they go and put big bouquets on their graves. And by what benefit is he going to receive in the grave? Is he going to smell those roses? Is he going to smell those flowers? No, he's not. If you wanted to give him flowers, give it to him in his lifetime so he can appreciate. Rather than putting graves, flowers on the grave, and just go to Preston Cemetery and you'll see, yallah, it's like a Chelsea flower show at some points of the year, especially in summer. Use that money and do isale thawab on behalf of that person. वो फूल रखने से क्या होगा? And mum, M-U-M, and D-A-D, oh my God, yallah. There is no benefit of that. But coming back to the main point is, we need to value our elderly while they are alive. Not disregard them, not sideline them. You can only ask and find out the value of the elderly from those people whose elderly parents, etc. have passed away. Only then you realize, and it's too late. So those of you who are sitting here, if your parents or even grandparents are alive, value them. Your little children, take them regularly to see them. Sometimes grandchildren are so disassociated from the grandparents, they have no connection. Grandparents should be the lifeblood of basically your children. They should be going to them, playing with them. And believe me, wallahi, there is no greater happiness for an elderly person than to see their grandchildren. There is no greater happiness. Don't wait till it's too late, wallah. Don't wait till it's too late. And then, like I said, people talk about this and talk about that and try to do this and try to do that. It's too late. It's too late. Yes, you can make dua for them, you can make isali thawab, but there's certain things you can never ever do. You are deprived of khidmah, eternal khidmah. You are deprived of their du'as. How do you know? One dua from their heart, from the depth of their heart, could be sufficient for you. One dua. So this is really important. Moving on, we just looked at that إِنَّمَا تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ, that why sometimes does Allah's help and assistance come because of the du'afa, the weak. And there's several reasons given. I want to finish early today. I know it's Monday. It's a working day today. People need to get to work, etc. And I don't know if any of you are going to go to sleep now. Do you understand? Try to finish work early and go to sleep before Asr for 2 hours. So you're refreshed for Asr, Iftari and Taraweeh. But looking at the reason that why does Allah's help come because of the weak, the du'afa, those who are basically not that able. One of the reasons given is that when these people make dua, it's a sincere dua. What do we mean by that? A sincere dua. Does that mean we don't make sincere dua? Sincere dua means that person, first of all, they fully acknowledge their weakness and shortcomings and their inability. When they ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are asking from the depth of their heart. Another person, hatta katta, he could be 30, 35 years old at the peak of his life. Okay, he's got mashallah, wealth. Allah has given him plenty. What does he rely on? Usually, his wealth, his power, his means, his ability, the asbab he has. When he makes dua, that level of sincerity, that level of crying and basically turning to Allah, it's not going to be the same. It's not. Just think of our own selves in our lives. There must have been moments where we've turned to Allah sincerely, when we are in some sort of calamity or trouble or problem. Because at that moment, you feel your helplessness. You feel and you fully appreciate your inability, your weakness. That's the case with the du'afa all the time. That's why when they make dua, their dua is sincere, full of ikhlas. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this type of dua, humility, humbling yourself in front of Him, crying from the bottom of your heart in front of Allah, that's what Allah likes. And that's why Allah sends down His barakat, His blessings and mercies because of these people. Just to conclude today, that just like we care and we should care about the career choice of our children, we should also care about their deen as well. And I'll discuss this tomorrow, inshallah. I thought I'll just mention it today. Something else as well, if anybody has a question that is related to the current topic and theme, feel free to write it down and give it to me. If it's for the wider public benefit, I will mention it here, or I will directly give you the answer. So if you have a question related to the theme, related to this topic, feel free to ask. Second thing is, I'm going to ask you this question maybe tomorrow or the day after. Remember, we're talking about your child here. Your child, we've been focusing more on the boys at the moment, and I mentioned earlier that it's the boy, the sons, the male who is responsible to provide for the family. So I am going to ask you this question after 1 or 2 days. So I want you to come, with reflection, and I want answers. What type of wife do you want for your son? That's my question. What type of wife do you want for your son? That son who is responsible to provide. That son whose responsibility is to put food on the table. That son who is obliged by Sharia to go out and earn a livelihood. So what type of wife do you want basically for your son who is supposed to be the breadwinner of the family? And I want some good responses from you. Maybe tomorrow, if we don't get time tomorrow to reach this point, inshallah the day after. So I want you to come back and I want some responses. Otherwise you'll be fined. Okay? I want some good responses. That what type of wife would you want for your beloved son? The future breadwinner of their family, basically. It's a very important question, and it's going to lead us to the next stage, which I want to get to, basically. Jazakallah, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.